million for sneakers. Not a house, not a car, not a private jet. 6 pairs of shoes that somebody wore, sweated in, and probably threw in a gym bag afterward. Today we're counting down the 10 most expensive sneakers ever sold at auction. And by the time we hit number 1, you're going to look at the shoes in your own closet completely differently. Stick around, because the story behind number 3 involves a foundation for Parkinson's research. And number 1 still holds a world record nobody's come close to touching. Let's get into it. 10. Michael Jordan's 1984 Olympic Converse Fast Breaks. We're starting before Jordan was even a bull. Before Nike, before the Jumpman, before any of it, Michael Jordan wore Converse. This pair is the exact shoes he had on during the gold medal game at the 1984 Olympics, where Team USA beat Spain. They're signed, they're game-worn, and they sold in 2017 for just over $190,000. At the time, that number shattered every previous sneaker auction record. It sounds almost quaint compared to what's coming later on this list. But this sale is genuinely the moment. Collectors realized game-worn sneakers could be treated like fine art. Every entry after this one exists because of what happened with this pair. Louis Vuitton X Nike Air Force Us. This one's different from everything else on the list because nobody actually wore it into a game. This is a design story. Virgil Abloh, the late creative director of Louis Vuitton menswear and founder of Off-White, spent his final years fusing streetwear with high fashion in a way the industry had never really seen. This particular Air Force One, wrapped in Louis Vuitton's monogram and damier prints with a matching orange pilot case, was part of a 200-pair collection auctioned by Sotheby's in 2022. The whole auction pulled in over $25 million, but this single pair, sold to benefit a scholarship fund in Abloh's name, became the standout lot at nearly $353,000. It's proof that sneakers don't need an athlete's legacy attached. Sometimes the designer's legacy is enough. Nike Moon Shoe Prototype. Now we go all the way back to 1972, before Nike was even really Nike as we know it. Bill Bowerman, Nike's co-founder, handmade a tiny batch of running shoes using his kitchen waffle iron to create the sole pattern, the same waffle sole that would go on to define Nike's entire identity. Only a handful of these prototypes survive. When Sotheby's put one up for auction, the estimate was around $160,000. Bidders blew past that estimate and drove the final price to $437,500, making it, at the time, the most expensive sneaker ever sold. This shoe isn't famous because of who wore it. It's famous because it's basically the birth certificate of the swoosh. Kobe Bryant's Achilles game, Nike Kobe. April 2013, Golden State Warriors game, and Kobe Bryant ruptures his Achilles tendon in the third quarter. Instead of being carried off, he gets up, walks, not limps, walks, to the free throw line and sinks both shots before finally leaving the court. That pair of purple and gold Kobe 8s he was wearing when it happened later went to auction and pulled in $615,000. This isn't a shoe collectors want because of its rarity or its design. It's a shoe people want because it physically witnessed one of the most Mamba mentality moments in NBA history. Michael Jordan's game-worn Air Jordan 1, the oldest known pair back to Jordan and back to the very beginning of the sneaker that started an entire billion-dollar industry. This is a genuine dead stock condition pair of the original 1985 Air Jordan 1. But it's also the oldest surviving example of Jordan's signature shoe in existence, which is why it sold for $560,000. What makes this one interesting isn't the price tag by itself, it's the size mismatch. Jordan's left foot ran slightly smaller than his right, so his left shoe is a size 13, and the right is a 13.5. That tiny mismatched detail is actually part of what authenticators use to confirm a Jordan pair as genuinely game-worn instead of just team-issued. Michael Jordan's game-worn Air Jordan 1. Yes, another Air Jordan 1, and yes, this one's even more expensive. This pair originally sold for just over $104,000 back in 2013. 10 years later, in 2023, Sotheby's auctioned the exact same pair again, and it came back at $1,380,000. That's roughly a 13 times return in a single decade, and it's become the go-to example whenever anyone tries to argue that sneakers are a legitimate investment asset class, and not just a hobby. If you want a single data point that explains why hedge funds started paying attention to sneaker auctions, this sale is it. Michael Jordan's 1984 Nike Airships, before the Air Jordan line even existed, Jordan wore a shoe called the Nike Airship during his rookie season. This exact pair was worn in his fifth career NBA game in 1984, and when it hit Sotheby's in Las Vegas in October 2021, a collector paid $1,472,000 for it. At the time, that made it the single most expensive pair of game-worn sneakers ever sold. What collectors love about this shoe is the timing. It's the last moment before the Jordan brand as we know it existed. One signature shoe deal away from changing sports marketing forever. And this is the pair caught right before that happened. Kanye West's Nike Air Yeezy 1 Grammy prototype. Here's the wild card on this list. In 2008, Kanye West performed his single Stronger at the Grammy Awards wearing an all-black, never-released Nike Air Yeezy 1 sample, the shoe that would go on to launch one of the most influential sneaker collaborations of the last 20 years. This exact prototype pair sold in 2021 for $1.8 million, officially making it, according to Guinness World Records, the most expensive sneakers ever sold in a private sale. We're including it here because so many collectors and sneaker historians counted alongside auction results, even though technically the deal happened privately rather than under the hammer at a live auction house sale. Worth knowing the distinction, because it's the one entry on this list that didn't go through a public bidding war. Michael Jordan's Last Dance Air Jordan 13's Game 2 of the 1998 NBA Finals. Jordan's final championship run with the Bulls immortalized years later by the documentary that gave this pair its nickname. These Air Jordan 13s worn during that game sold at Sotheby's in 2023 for $2.2 million, making them the most expensive individual pair of game-worn Jordans ever sold as a complete set. What's remarkable is how much of this sales value came directly from renewed cultural interest. The documentary aired years after the actual game, and it single-handedly reignited demand for anything connected to that final title run. It's a rare case of a decades-old artifact getting a modern price spike because of a streaming release. The Michael Jordan Dynasty Collection, and here it is. In February 2024, Sotheby's auctioned off 6 individual pairs of game-worn Air Jordans in one single lot. The Air Jordan 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, and 14. Each one worn by Jordan during the exact game that clinched one of his 6 NBA championships between 1991 and 1998. This isn't one shoe. It's literally the entire dynasty in shoe form. When the final bid landed, it hit $8,032,800, instantly becoming the most expensive sneaker sale in history and setting a Guinness World Record for game-worn footwear. The buyer chose to stay anonymous, which honestly only adds to the mystique. Somewhere out there, someone owns Michael Jordan's entire championship legacy sitting in a single display case. So there you have it. $8 million for 6 pairs of sneakers and a whole lot of history packed into leather and rubber. If you had to guess which pair breaks this record next, drop it in the comments. My money's on something with Kobe's name on it. And if this kind of luxury deep dive is your thing, hit subscribe because we've got a lot more where this came from.